No, we there.
You sure? Now we're
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So now we're back, guys. Sorry about that. There was audio
I
difficulties real
don't know.
quick. So now I'm talking to your dads out there, the males. How to say this because it's kind of how to. I'm just gonna toss it to you and ask your thoughts because
Right.
it's kind of
Because I've been there
it's kind
before.
of I don't know if you can digest it right because I don't have any biological
Yeah.
kids. You follow me?
Right.
But so it's kind of I'm giving you guys a disclaimer, the self disclaimer,
Okay.
meaning I'm not I'm only limited for as now I have raised
Yeah.
or had input in
If it was
raising a
Isaiah, no. If it was Isaiah, now
you see?
Isaiah, that's
So
your.
I just want to let you guys know for those that understand and know me, I understand is what I'm about to say and go. Are we doing enough as males at preparing our young boys on how to really defend themselves?
Great point. Great point.
Because if you do, and if you feel you have prepared your son, remember I'm using the word wisely, defend himself or herself, themselves. Not saying they're preparing them how to fight, preparing them how to defend themselves. If you feel you have done a great enough job, that involves resolution. I mean conflict resolution. It does. Teach them how to defend themselves, meaning that if somebody come up on them and they come up, they got 3, 4 little kids talking smack to you, you better find a way. You're not gonna whoop 3, 4. The average size kid isn't gonna whoop 3, 4 kids, bullies that's coming at them. How to resolve it? Talk, are we doing a good enough job at teaching males out there, grown men, at teaching our boys, our kids, how to successfully defend themselves? If you are, then there should be less concern if they get into a one on one.
Right.
They're going to get into a squabble. A kid gonna bow your kid in the mouth. A kid gonna cheat and paint your kid. Kid gonna go, somebody gonna elbow him in the sacks. That happens in the combat. We aren't surprised. Now we get surprised if the referee didn't see it. If we know the referee standing right there, but you can't get mad. Ralph, he beat my that big. Okay, prepare your sons. Do better at preparing them how to deal with certain situations. If a guy keep fouling you over and over and over, you got to teach him a way to take a foul. If you look
Yeah.
at the foul count, you don't got
Yeah.
one foul, take you one. That's the type of parent you are.
And just teach them to protect themselves, Jim. That's what me and Robert used to. I just said, this is how you protect yourself. You know how to protect yourself. You got to know how to duck. You got to know where it's some points where you can hit him and neutralize him. I'm not gonna teach no class on this show, but yeah, it's ways to do that. But I would try to always at all point when you play in a basketball game, man, this is not a fight. You got to teach these kids. You're not going out there to fight, baby. You're not going out there to fight. You got too much. I always told my son, you got too much to lose. That other dude might not have nothing to lose. So I just always, and I think every parent's son got too much to lose. So if all of us telling our sons, you got too much to lose, son, for you to go out there and fight. You think about it. I promise you. Them guys understand. See, and Jimmy, I know you blame it on the rivalry. Jimmy, we had a rivalry with Bel Air, West Side and Bel Air. That was one of the worst rivalries. I hated to go to them games. I really hated to go to them games. Because I know
Boys and girls. Boys and girls.
See, I didn't go to the girls that much.
Yeah, the girls, both girls teams went with state caliber teams
Yeah.
programs back in those days.
Yeah, but I mean, with Jimmy, it was just so much intensity in there because you got to understand. First of all, Bel Air used to always whoop up on West Side. Then West Side said, "Okay, no, it's a new sheriff in town." So I told you, Jimmy. Hey, y'all, I'm gonna tell you, parents, don't nobody do this ever to nobody no more. Jimmy, I'm sitting there, and I told this story before, about 5 feet away from a person who works at Bel Air. My son files out, and guess what he stand up and said? Get his ass out of there. The man know where I was sitting. I gave him what's worth. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I didn't turn the other cheek that day. Because he got a son. I said, you were smart enough to send your son away from Bel Air out somewhere else so he wouldn't tie his ass up. I told him just like that. But I felt so bad later. I said, I let this dude sucker me into this mess. So parents, be prayed up when you go to the game, especially if your son is good. If little Johnny ain't the focal point on the team, you might get away with it. But if your son got any kind of way, is he good, and he's a threat to that other team, boy, them folks don't like it. So, Jimmy, I didn't mean to go on that long, but
I'm saying, but wouldn't that go into the under the umbrella of the conflict resolution praise? That means because you got to understand how. See, one of the hardest things. It's not easy to not fight. That's harder than fighting itself. Fighting is a normal reaction. But to know how to not fight.
Know how to not fight, yeah.
That's the hard, you gotta have a different type of kid to understand and comprehend to know how to not fight. So I
got a question, Jimmy. Did anybody get arrested?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
What was the game at?
Now,
what was the game at?
At Madison High School, a brand new school, one of their I think only their second or so home game. It's in a brand new building.
Yeah.
Because remember, this is non-district now. They're not district rivals anymore.
Right.
That's when your son went to West Side, when you guys had to play Bel Air twice a year. You know, and once again, these schools didn't really.
What?
For the basketball component.
Okay.
Bel Air and Madison is what West Side and Bel Air was. You know, on basketball, they don't
like each other.
They want to whoop each other's ass.
Jimmy, that's serious. Jimmy, I promise you. I'm gonna show you how deep it is, y'all, since y'all think I'm playing. When my son came back home and needed to work out, I could have got him a gym at Bel Air, and Glover would have let him. He said, man, I don't want to work out in that gym. This when he was off at college, Jimmy. So it's that serious.
So he still had them type of feelings.
So right now, Jimmy, you think I'm playing? When I had that U of H shirt on, that man said, man, don't wear that no more. You didn't go to U of H. I didn't go to U of H. He said, man, don't wear that no more. I promise you, Jim. That's why I tell y'all, don't tell him I had it on. Yeah, because I like that U of H shirt. But Jimmy, I'm telling you, if I had been at that game, I remember it was a kid was with me last night at the U of H game. You asked him, man, why didn't you go to that game? I know he glad he went to the U of H game instead of being at that mess.
Well, that would have been something to write about. And he does videos, so that would have been some good video that one of the local media outlets probably would have paid him a couple $100 for that video. So in that business, I don't know, Heather, he might have would have. That's how it goes. You know.
Unbelievable, Coach. Unbelievable. Jim, I'm glad. If you hadn't told me, did you put that on your on RCS Sports?
Yes.
Okay. See, I ain't read it yet. I got to read it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about that fight? Because I can't believe we got that. We got so many positive things to tell. What you got anything you want to wrap it up?
Well, I was just reaching out to the coaches, and I have more on this stuff on next week about this problem. Once again, Madison and Bel Air played last night on campus game at Madison High School, and during the closing minutes of the game, Bel Air were leading, and it resulted into a fight which spewed over into a brawl involving spectators as well. So we just, had a great conversation as to what would constitute a parent going out into the floor and squabbling during those games. And another thing I really believe is that parents, I'm gonna leave you guys on this note.
Okay.
And I watch from the time that a lot of parents come into the arenas. A lot of times you have problems and you bring them into the games and try to use, as some of these kids may do, as you're a spectator, you try to use it as an escape mechanism to escape your problems as you watch your kid or your loved one engage in youth sports. Well, here's the thing. If there comes a time during that game when the referee makes a questionable call, it's going to involuntarily escape you, and you're going to lash at the referee. If the coach takes your loved one out the game or make a decision about the philosophy of the team, you're going to lash out and question that. If somebody is making noise or enjoying the game a little bit more than you, that's my point is, if you can take out the time to exhale before you enter some of these youth sporting events, let's take the extra time. For some of you, it may be the difference may be taking the damn channel off 97.9 or off the rap station and putting on some spa music or some shit. I don't know what you got to do, but you have to do something to tune down when you go into these buildings. You're mad already. So it don't take nothing to go and flip you over.
Jimmy, a little prayer would help, Jimmy. I know you don't think about that, but I'm just telling you, it works for me. A prayer, you got to have a moment that you got to say, man, this is crazy. Jimmy, I would like to know, what was the police presence there?
Well, I don't know.
And you don't know yet.
Think of it like this.
Huh?
Think of it like this. This game was on the HISD campus at Madison High School. Well, let me tell you this. Anytime there's a game on the campuses of those schools, there's going to be at least 2 officers there. At least 2. Now, one of the viewers that attended Yates played Madison 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And he's saying that it was an abundance of officers because that game was supposed to be held initially at Yates High School. Yates and Madison. That was Yates' home game. Some people from Madison expressed concerns about if their spectators would be able to get in based on crowd control. So then the decision was made to move the game to Butler Fieldhouse. Or Barnett, whichever one they moved it to. I don't know, one of those stadiums. But in this situation, and they say they had an abundance of officers. So I don't know how many officers were there because Bel Air, and this is the thing, I'm really curious as well because the common denominator in those 2 games is guess what? Guess who the common denominator is?
Who?
Madison. Madison played against Yates, and they had over a dozen officers.
Okay.
Madison plays at home against and you expressed concern. The game was moved there, not because Yates wanted it to move, because Madison wanted it to move. So you expressed safety concerns about playing at Yates, right? I'm sure how this stuff works. But you're playing Bel Air, which is located, guys, but don't geographics, don't really know, not really familiar with Houston. Bel Air is about 3 miles from the Galleria Mall. The Galleria is our signature mall shopping plaza in Houston, right? So the Bel Air has their own city ordinance. Bel Air has their own mayor. Bel Air has their own police department, but they're in the middle of Houston, but they have their own court. Bel Air. Matter of fact, they street signs is a different color than the rest of Houston. Their street signs red and white. The rest of Houston street signs are green and white. I'm not joking. Bel Air. But it's in the middle of Houston. It's a patch. Right? Uh-huh. So Bel Air their attendance is predominantly white. Houston Independent School District is predominantly Hispanic. The Bel Air basketball team is predominantly black. Black coach, 2 black assistant coaches. Follow me this. But since Bel Air is known, they're from Bel Air. If Yates didn't have 12 officers if they wanted 12 officers when they played Madison. If Madison requested extra officers, or the school district of Houston Independent School District requested, because they didn't want to sign it. And when those officers working, those games that you see them working in, they working overtime, y'all, on our tax dollars. They get paid a time and a half to work those games. I say it again, they get paid time and a half. How do I know? My wife was one of the top athletic department clerks in HISD for a decade. So when I met her, that's what she was doing. So I know how this structure goes in HISD. Just not get this twisted. Or I should know, put it like that. Or could know if I wanted to. But back to this. If the HISD requested that many officers for Yates to play Madison at a neutral site, that means it was equal concerns. Then how the hell, if it wasn't the equal amount of officers at Madison High School to protect those same kids when they play in Bel Air, why Bel Air don't pose the same type of threat that Yates High School can? See? Because obviously the facts proved different. And we'll go to the Boom Boom Room and see what you guys think about this. Of course, Angel Verdeo says normally you have police and school administration on duty. Some schools will have more there if they know it will be a bigger game crowd. Madison playing Bel Air at home definitely was going to be a comfortable game. And once again, I'm not saying that the whole force should have been there, but if you know that that's a rival, that's a rivalry. And so understand it. But that's just, Jeremy says at that game you would have thought somebody had issued a bomb threat. Talking about back at the Yates game last week. So it's something to just think about on this stuff and the safety. See, speaking, what up to Coach Aaron Proctor in the building, Coach John Smith in the building from out of San Antonio. San Antonio Wagner came down to Houston Hatter last week and left Hatter. They left with 2. Look. They had a knot right here, and the lip right here. The top lip was that big. They had a knot.
What happened? Busted. What happened to Wagner?
Last week, San Antonio Wagner came to Houston, and them little white kids from Concordia Lutheran, they busted their lip.
Right. Okay. And then what?
So
then they play twice, right?
Then they come back down in Shadow Creek. They got their eyes swollen like Mitch Green. They come down like Mitch Green. the eye. Kevin Kramer said he got the head beat in.
Hey man, y'all crazy.
But y'all we love him to death, and so we love him to death. And so let's go into the mailbag. And how do you have some other questions?
Yeah, somebody asked the question, Jimmy. They was just asking a long time ago. I forgot who it was early in the show. Frank Owens. He just asked the question because, I remember Monday, I didn't give you a chance to finish. You said the college coaches, and they just wanted to know what was your assessment of the performance that Bryce did this weekend. I mean, so evidently they probably don't have your website. I don't know if you wrote up on it or anything. I'm just okay. He said, "What do you think?" Thank you, Frank. Thank you, baby. What do you think about Bryce Griggs that weekend, I guess this weekend. Well, it must have been last weekend. What did you think about it? Not when you coach. You didn't get a chance to say. You just talked about what other people said. What did you think?
Well, I mean, this game on Saturday in Dallas, Bryce Griggs. Remember, you said, what do I think about Bryce Griggs?
Yeah.
This weekend. Not about about the game. What I think about Bryce Griggs this weekend. What Bryce Griggs had in his high school career. This was his first national stage of his high school career. He's had a local stage last year a couple of times, but on the national, so you're only fortunate enough to get in a scholastic. If you go to a public high school, you're only going to be very fortunate enough. It's going to be few and far in between the opportunities that you would get to play in front of a national audience of college coaches and evaluators alike. So this was Bryce Griggs. He's in the 10th grade at Hightower High School. He's a guard about 6'2". So, depending on if he cut his hair, we really tell. And this stage was pitted him against a young man that had been acclaimed. Remember, it's the Dallas versus Houston undercurrent. Because this is the guy who Dallas anointed as the best in Dallas. And then Bryce Griggs is the guy that's anointed in Houston now. However, albeit there's been a lot of resistance from in Houston that leads to confusion as to him being the best out of Houston in that class. So for whatever it's worth, he's the representation of Houston in this game of our best versus the best from DFW. And the DFW guys approached this matchup it kind of felt almost like Butch versus Alfalfa in the Little Rascals at first. For those of you that grew up watching the Little Alfalfa, remember Butch and Alfalfa, they go to fight, and Butch just put his hand out and hold Alfalfa by the forehead. Alfalfa get to swinging, and what I'm talking about before, not during the actual midst of a Butch and Alfalfa fight.
Right.
But really, truth be told, when the game started, Bryce Griggs was Butch. Bryce Griggs seized the platform and did what he set out and needed to do. This performance was much needed. It was way more needed from Bryce Griggs than it was for the other young man, Keontae George. So this is not about Keontae George, because the question was, how did Bryce Griggs do? Bryce Griggs, that win totally erased a 20-point performance in a loss the day before against Fort Worth's ODY, who's a top 10 team in the state, mind you, in their respective classification. Bryce Griggs, in that game, Bryce Griggs only had 2 field goals in the second half. And that was the thing that people, they were down by 20 early on, came back. But that was a C- performance for Bryce on the first day. But this was an A+. You see? And he had 41 points. And the thing about it, the stat sheet, beyond the field goal attempts and the free throw attempts, I totally discount the entire stat sheet, because unless I went and I contacted the E-Play, because I noticed after the game something that did not add up, me being a stat man. And and one of the things that didn't add up on the stat sheet was Hightower scored, I think, over 25 field goals, and they were only credited with 4 assists. I know for a fact that Bryce Griggs had 4 assists his damn self. So they said they would go and seek and correct it, and unless they have corrected, I haven't checked, because I can't count. If you got the assist that wrong, then you damn sure might have got some rebounds wrong. You see? You damn sure might have got some steals wrong. You damn sure might have got some turnovers wrong. You see? So you got to learn, guys. We take them stat sheets and run with it. If it don't make sense, sure, a guy gonna miss one or two. But I'm talking about, ain't no way the team had no force assists as a team. So I don't want to give nobody's sub stats out. But bottom line, Bryce Griggs fared well with an A+. Now here's what happens now. Now you've mastered that. You cannot go back into neutral. If any time that Bryce Griggs goes, now they played a game on Tuesday night against Langham Creek. I think yesterday had showed you guys a clip of Bryce Griggs scoring about 16 points in about 5-6 possessions. So that means he ain't going in neutral. So know what's gonna happen now? People gonna shoot all type of candy defenses. Then and I'm gonna tell people all the time, I don't want to hear nothing about they playing a boxing one. They won't let him get the ball. They double teaming him. Guess what? That's what people did against De'Aaron Fox. They did that against Kendrick Davis. They did that stuff against Tommy Mason Griffin. They did it against a lot of the guys that came through yesteryear that had already. Once you get anointed, that comes with it. It comes with it. If you're the best guy, you think people ain't gonna try, at least try to keep the ball out your hand and do whatever they can. They're gonna say, we'll let them other guys beat us. He ain't gonna beat us. So that means now that's what helps to formulate a team. Hightower has to keep winning. The more they win, remember, they have another body now. A young man named Nick Hale, who was just food eligible 2 days ago. Played his first game Tuesday night. Came off the bench, not sure what he did. But I know one thing, he helped his team won. So Hightower, over the holidays, they'll be playing in a couple of tournaments. I don't know what's next for them. Of course, somebody knew what's their next. Hatter might know the schedule behind home.
No, I don't. I just get informed. I get informed quickly, though.
And so that's the thing. Keep your eyes on them. And if you're Bryce Griggs and the family that's listening, how do you feed and reverbing in? Something must have just happened. If you're listening, then you got to find ways to stay alert and understand that little no-name guy who you may be playing against tomorrow or the next day. That guy trying to make a name off himself, and he may have the same motivation to do whatever he can. Right? Might play a little dirty. He might talk about you. He might talk about you and shoot the dozens with you. But then some guys gonna come in different ways. You have to find a way to win and remain calm in the process of doing it. And that's the thing. Now, the old ball hogging jacket has been dispersed. It's been proven to be it's a thing of the past. That might have been the case in middle school. Hey, how many of you guys saw every team in middle school ball had one kid that shot up all the damn balls? That's part of middle school ball. And y'all got the nerve to come and they shoot all the ball. Go to another team. It's middle school. It's 5th grade ball.
Hey, Jimmy, Stacy just said something real key. He said, why does he have to be fantastic every night? Because every night that he plays, he's a 16-year-old player.
Because of the fact that beforehand, there was resistance from certain people in the greater Houston who wasn't ready to anoint him yet. So if that was resistance to those people, still might think, oh, that was just a lucky day at the office. He just got lucky against that. But he still ain't this, and he still can't do this, and he still can't go over the rim. Still can't touch top of the square. He can't dribble and hit 2 shots with the left. He still tell you what he can't do. So those people are going to waiting on the subpar performance. And then you will hear them again. They're going to be in the bushes now, right now.
Right.
But
Right.
but that's how it goes. So if you know and you prepare mentally, so if you want to know who those people are, don't worry. You ain't got to worry about saying they are right now. Just wait till he scores 7 points one night and watch how they remind you when the text messages come to your phone or the emails or the DMs. That's who we talking about. You see? Or the morning after, the person that says, hey, why y'all ain't say nothing about Bryce Griggs ain't scored 7 points? Y'all mentioned the other key. You mentioned when PJ Haggerty didn't score with so-and-so point. And PJ Haggerty is the next young man in line in this class. He's averaging over 30 points a game as a sophomore, and he's getting it in over at Crosby High School. But albeit PJ Haggerty is in the similar box, and he has played 17U briefly with the Basketball University at the end of July, but it didn't move the needle in those performances. So PJ is going to have to wait until either Crosby goes and kicks a bunch of ass and make it to the deep into the playoffs, win or before the playoffs, go and win every tournament they play in, or at least win, place, or show. You can't win it all, but just win, place, or show in every tournament you play in. Keep doing that. Get in the district, make noise in district play, go into the postseason. That's what it takes at Crosby, because now you're a little bit behind on the schedule that Hightower is playing. Now, however, they both can meet in the playoffs. They both can meet in the playoffs. They both are in the 5A classification. Hightower could meet Crosby. And then that would be the equivalent of Bryce Griggs playing Keontae Jones, but with more stakes on the line. Because you know what that means? Whoever loses this game, they got to go get some mothballs. Their season is over. And that stings for 8 months when that happens. So that's what happens. What if you want to know what PJ Haggerty has to do, keep doing what he's doing. But he kind of feels like the Trae Young right now to Bryce Griggs being Luka. Trae Young is the Trae. PJ Haggerty is the Trae Young. You got to just keep winning. Now, not to mention Crosby has a better record than 5 and 17. But I'm just giving you the comparison between those two. And so hope I answered the question on that. We got some more questions on there.
Miss Connie said something. She said, Jimmy Hatter, I went to see Westbury play Yates on Tuesday. It was about 8 officers. I went to the Madison versus Belair last night. I only saw 3, maybe 4 officers. I turned to my sister and said, what the hell? Why were there so many officers at the Westbury and Yates on Tuesday game? By the way, Westbury and Yates was a better game. She said, I was sitting on the second row behind Belair bench. I was in shock. A lady next to me was videoing the fight. Another parent ran up and was ready to fight the lady. It was crazy. She said, my boss just walked in. I had to hurry up and go. I love this boom boom room, man.
Well, Connie, we covered that topic a little while ago.
Yeah.
Hopefully you go back just to sum it up. I've definitely I'm with you. I posed the same question. I said, I'm wondering how many, and that's just the Yates versus Westbury. I want to find out how many officers were at the Belair versus Madison game last night.
And guess what? Guess what else? And a lot of people done tuned off, but they're going to miss this one. This is just a statement. He said the way y'all evaluate players in Houston is very different than we do in Dallas.
Well, rightfully so. I've explained to you guys the difference. Mm-hmm. I've explained to you guys.
Because he said, how often has a kid played and haven't scored 15 more points in a game? Then he said, anyone who saw this young man, I'm just leading up to what he said, anyone who saw this young man play in Dallas knows he's a top 5 player in Houston and a top 10 in Texas.
Okay, but Think about it. That's laying the money real low. Think about that. We knew that you didn't know Bryce Reeves was top 5 in Houston. You didn't know he was top 15, 10, 15 in Texas before going down there. That's an understatement. We knew that already.
But the national people didn't know.
Once again, so you guys don't understand. First of all, when it comes to Dallas, that was a time when I did not do rankings in Houston. I didn't start off doing rankings.
Okay.
Everybody loved the hell out of me. I was loved by all.
I wasn't around then.
Yeah, because I was a puppy in the game. So guys thought that a puppy ain't gonna bite you. Puppy can't do you no harm. You can just rub a puppy and get on over the puppy. But once a puppy grows teeth and turns into a dog, you can bite. Now you becomes a threat. So my point is, in Dallas, it's different. One major way, in a very major way, I say a major way, is that nobody in Dallas does a published list of rankings for the high school players on the local level that's publicly visible for everybody to see. Nobody does that. When people that don't do it, they say, well, that don't mean nothing. Yeah, it does mean something. You know why? Because rankings what makes these kids go so crazy and cuckoo. So if you know it makes them go cuckoo, what if there was no rankings? What if you go on rcssports.com?
I'm there.
The rankings of our 9th grade players, the 2023 class, they're listed in alphabetical order. You know what happens in that class? For the course of the whole season, all those parents, all those kids, all of them when they see, it's all positive energy because nobody is ranked higher than the other. So here's what happens in Houston. Okay, I have a rankings list at rcssports.com. Well, what happens is if the next guy comes with a rankings list, he can't duplicate my list player for player. He has to mix it up and give his opinion and shuffle it, rattle it and put his number one that's going to compete against my number one. That way now you gain the support of that kid who you have as number one. I might have him at number 4 or 5. But his people and his fan base are going to love the next guy. And they're going to rock with him. And they're going to say, see, Hicks don't know what he's talking about. This is the best guy. Hicks got that other guy at number 1. So then you get a third ranking guy out of the same city. They're going to say that guy Hicks and the other guy rankings are wrong. And then you have Marcus Sloan put his rankings up. And it'd be a different number 1. Because it got to be different at first. Otherwise, what the purpose of doing it? So now what happens is it tends, because once you put a person at number 1 and doing the rankings, guys, I've said it before, the egos are at a premium. We ain't going to put you number 1 and then after one bad game or one goose egg, going to say, oh, hell, you ain't number 1 no more. Because now we got to wait till you prove it, because otherwise we saying we wrong. Our ego's too small for that. We can't admit we wrong that fast. So it's going to take a period of spiraling downward for that young man. And what happens is that while that young man spirals downward, the next guy with the next rankings who has that young man lower than the next guy, he's going to have a parade and applaud the demise of a damn kid. That's how the city of Houston gets so effed up. Because then while some guys are applauding, see, I told you that kid's sorry as hell. See, it happened with Quentin Grimes. And so people are going to double down and keep doubling down and double down until you lose it all. Or eventually you're going to win it all because you betting it's one bet, winner take all. And that's one of the things that got the city of Houston to, there's about 4 published rankings lists in this city alone, about 4 of them. There's no So you know what that means? That means now if your kid is great, he's being recruited by Power Fives, he's good. He's on the same level as the next kid. The other kid ain't no better than the next kid. They all good. In Houston, why you got my kid number 10? He need to be number 3. It's a big difference in the whole approach to it. But I've been doing it so long that understand. I've been doing it so long to where I'm in the mindset of why in the hell they do the rankings? They didn't have to do the rankings. And know what happens? Them guys that do the rankings after me, they don't want to update their rankings no more. Ask them why.
So it's interesting, and I love this conversation because I'm even learning something. Stacy said rankings is somebody's opinion. We all know that. Then he said it's not fact. It's somebody's opinion. And I know you always say that. But honestly, he said, he feels that part of the business is not even necessary. That y'all do the rankings anyway. It should be done by positions. Have you ever thought about rankings being done by position?
Hold on 1 second. Let me show you something.
Okay.
Sometimes people forget. I gotta remind people shit. That's why I say all the time.
Man, we over time, and I sure got to go get my hair cut.
I gotta remind y'all.
I know how long you've been doing it.
I gotta remind y'all. This is 2001.
Right.
I'm going back to you guys. I just pick any book at random. I'm just gonna pull one at random. This 2003, 2004.
Right.
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 What they say? What they say, Hal? I've been doing this stuff
by
for too long.
position.
Y'all guys understand this?
Yeah.
I started this shit. I've done them by rankings, by position. I've done them by position for years. What happens is I published them by rankings, by position. What happens is over a period of time, that guy that's 6'7", that you might call a 4, his coach gonna call him a 1. And that's why I stopped doing the positions. Because now everybody's saying that what I'm calling this guy
is wrong.
It's not what they are. So now there's another reason to hate you.
Boy, you got a lot of Ziploc bags over there.
No, that's how it goes.
No, I said you got a lot of Ziploc bags over there. Now I see what you put your popcorn in. But hold on. But
Ziplocs coming back in the old days, man. I just can't let them go. That's back
in Stacy, he got it late. He said, "Why did you stop?" But you know it's a delay. You just explained it. It's a little delay.
Just explain. Yes, a little delay. So that goes to show, guys, and explain to you. I've been, and understand, in a city like Houston, it was working. Okay. The most Division I's that ever was signed in the city came when it wasn't 5 ranking services in the city. It's America. Do what you want to do, but be innovative. Why don't those guys go and do it by position? That means they're doing something different because they ain't updating the ones that they got already. That's all I'm saying. If you're going to do stuff, innovate. So you know how I innovate? This is innovating. This is Black history right here. It is.
Right.
This is Black history. And you know what happened? Y'all won't say nothing about it until I'm dead and gone. You say, man, that magazine was good as hell, man. I know it. But sometimes I just want to hear it. That's how that will float my boat. I ain't going to float this boat. Just don't. But guess what? You're going to buy one of these. And then all you're going to go and read it. You don't want to know who playing. And it's like Heller called earlier. Heller say, man, who Texas State got on their team? I'm going to see U of H tonight.
Yeah.
I say, go look in the college section.
Yeah.
Go look in the college section.
Guess what, Jimmy? I didn't have to, Jimmy. I just went to Google Texas State and just went down there. I'm just telling you.
But that takes more time. If that book, you got one in your car, one at home, one in your office. That means now you go right there and you be like, oh, you know, right then you might make a little note. So now this is what I'm saying, guys. And Stacey, it's another topic I'll say you for next week. Do your homework. And this is a misnomer and it's a myth that I just let Dallas run with.
Okay.
Dallas, remember, what do you eventually judge your players by in the summer ball and all that? By what? normally the benchmark is the amount of pros or the amount of Division Ones. Two different races now. Some people go by the amount of pros. Some people go by the amount of D1s, right? If you're going by Division Ones and you look in the magazine, there's a list of every Division I player from the state of Texas in this section on page 66. Every Division I player that's in from the whole state. And if you count them up, the tally is right here. This year, Greater Houston has 142 Division I players right now, boys. DFW, 127. Last year, Houston, then DFW. So you guys go and you run with that theory and you make it seem like Houston is just the worst place in the world, but we putting out more Division Ones.
Okay.
And if that's your bottom line, if that's the bottom line, then guess what? I'm taking it, run with it. Some people just can't take it. Some people can't run. So that's
hey, could you, before you get off the air, would you explain to me these tournaments? I know about the Katy tournament. What about this other tournament that Doug is at? What tournament is that?
We got a list of all tournaments. We got about 6 tournaments going on.
Oh, you got them? Okay.
And they're on the front of
RCS. Here they are.
See, how one thing about that, I'm going to make that website eliminate all the excuses. There's
a lot of tournaments going on, man.
I got every bracket right there at your fingertips. It don't cost you a dime to go and check that out. Go to RCS Sports, and you guys can go and download or print whatever schedule you want. But I got to get out and run out of here. We got a meeting to go and get into. God dog it.
I'm me out of here. I'm out. Hey, Chop Shop, we love you. We out, baby.
My clock on the wall stopped. I thought I had an atomic clock. I thought it said an atomic clock. How the hell did it stop at 12? I'm thinking we got a minute or two. It's 20 after. I got to go to a conference call. So you guys tomorrow, it's time to yabba dabba do this thing. I promise, guys.